It's quite shocking to see the amount that people pay for certain services or products. And a lot of times they're not even aware of the premium that they are actually paying out. There's a lot of things that we purchase that we don't even use. And it's not just clothing or the highest speed internet services when we can get a slower speed. Or maybe you just never use your cable TV. You just have it because everybody else has it. Or maybe you have magazine subscriptions and you never even read the articles in the magazines. Pretty much we're all guilty to some degree of this. But what is so shocking is all the hidden cost behind the conveniences in modern life. I think some of the best examples has to do with going out to eat. On a simple note, though, it could be something as minor as getting your coffee in the morning at Starbucks. You got $4 or $5 or $6 a day, 4 to 5 days a week. That literally translates into over $1,000 a year just for coffee. And then you add in a bagel or a muffin or a cookie, whatever you're into, and they just ratchet down the pressure even more, and you may have an additional $1,000 a year that you just spent on, breakfast food or snack food, whatever you call it. And it's even worse when you talk about going out to eat, especially on a regular basis. $5 or $10 a pop when you can make it for maybe $1 or $2 at home. And this is the shocking element that people just rather pay a super premium. In a lot of ways, it's 80 to 90% more than it really costs to actually buy it and make it at home. Like, for example, yesterday I went out and bought some popcorn that was pre-popped instead of buying the kernels. And if I just popped my own popcorn, I would have saved 80%. 80% just by popping my own popcorn. But I was lazy and I went ahead and paid that 80% premium. And when I ate the popcorn, I asked myself, was it worth it? And there was a part of me that said, yeah, I didn't have to pop the popcorn. But the few seconds that it would have taken to pop the popcorn, it wouldn't have hurt me at all. It wouldn't have been any kind of a bad experience. And so I'm just here to tell you that there's a lot of things that we don't need. We may not need that coffee in the morning from Starbucks. We may not need those magazine subscriptions or that cable TV or the fastest internet. We may not need the most trendy designer clothing or that new car. We may not need that large house. We may not need to have 10 dogs in our backyard barking all day. You may just want to have 1 or 2. These animals are not inexpensive to keep up and to feed and to give attention to. You have to dedicate resources. And while I love animals, just like I love a lot of things, you have to sometimes look at things in proportions that you can manage. And so when a lot of people tell me that they don't have money to be prepared, first off, I want to say that I don't think they've really done a real line-by-line or itemized budget to see what they're really spending. And I also want to say, I think they mix up the idea that buying stuff is being prepared when it's not. It's a lifestyle. It's a type of way of thinking. It's awareness. It's skill building and learning. And yes, there's some things that you really would want to have. For example, you could learn 100 knots, but if you don't have the cordage, the rope, if you don't have a way to make the knots, then that information is not helpful. It's not useful. And so this challenge is for everyone that watches the video is to do a budget. That's the thing here. Do an honest to God budget. See how much you spend in fuel. See how much you spend on insurance. See how much you spend on going out to eat, on processed food. See how much time as well, because you don't just do a budget based on how much things are or where your money goes. You also want to do a budget based on your time. I call it just a time budget. Where do you spend your time? Do you spend almost all of it at work? Do you have no other life? Do you worry about a lot of things when you're out of work? And is that how you spend your time? What do you do with your money, your time, your energy? You want to make a budget for these things. And so you can actually track them and see if you're in control of your life. If you're not in control, then who is? Who is? If you don't have freedom, then who took it? Or did you surrender it? And that's pretty much the likely account. For most people, they just surrender their freedom for convenience. And this is where we're getting into a lot of problems in the US, especially in the last few decades. People are willing to surrender various rights and freedoms because they believe they're safer if a government has more power. And this video is not about that topic, but it's a slow creep of mindset that comes in at different angles. And it even affects us in how we view our daily lives. That it's okay to spend all of our money and not have anything in reserve. It's okay to live day by day and not have nothing for tomorrow. Well, tomorrow does come, and sometimes bad things happen tomorrow. And if you're not prepared for that tomorrow may be your last day.